Thank you, thank you. And I think you can hear me well. Yes, wow, it's a big crowd here. Super. Hi, everyone. I'm here today to talk to you about our latest Nordic Learning and Talent report. And we have some insights that we're ready to share. The report is being created as I speak right now, so you're actually the first people that are going to hear publicly what we've learned. So I'm super excited here to be with you and to share a bit of results that we're seeing in the trends. My name is Nikolina Talijan Hinic, and I'm an HR and tech enthusiast. I work as a customer success manager for Cornerstone, and I work with a lot of large HR departments and organizations within the Nordics as my customers. Before I move on, I just want to give a few words about Cornerstone. So we're a tech company that is there to really help you develop talent and ensure that you have agile workforce in the future. Our purpose is to really empower people to be their most extraordinary, both at work and in the world. And one of the attempts in which we are working very closely with our customers was actually to create a report and to create an understanding more of where is the talent currently in the Nordics, what are the needs of the talent, how do you attract the talent, and what are the ways to also retain. So I'm very excited to share these insights. We've done a study where we've gathered 528, so a bit over 500 managers and employees across different countries within the Nordics. So we have relatively equal representation coming from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and Finland. And the survey was done in the periods of June and August this year, so it's super fresh. We've focused on 3 different segments. Oh, I just now remember I have a clicker, sorry. We focused on 3 different segments. So the first one was professional growth within organizations. The second one was the art of attracting talent. And the third one was the art of creating a learning culture. So I will talk about each one of these segments in a bit more detail. So let's start with the professional growth within the organization. We started by asking our respondents to what extent do they agree to the following statement. Employees in the part of the organization where I work generally have a strong interest in professional development. So with this question, we really wanted to understand what is the interest that people in general, the talent, has in relation to developing themselves, growing professionally, and going further, progressing in their careers. And we got some interesting insights. So the first one is that the interest for development is higher than the opportunities actually available in organizations. And we learned that 71% of our respondents actually state that employees in their organization generally have a strong interest for development of their professions, professional development, whereas 59% of the respondents state that employees in the organizations generally have a lot of opportunities to develop. So we see that there is a discrepancy between the wish for development versus the actual opportunities available. And another interesting insight was that having more development opportunity leads to higher employee engagement. So we've learned that those who stated that they are engaged in their job, 67% of those individuals said that they do have good development opportunities at their workplace. Versus those who stated that they're not very engaged in their job, 37 of those also reported that they do not have good development opportunities. So I think this is an interesting insight, especially those of you who are creating these kinds of opportunities within your organizations to keep in mind. And I would say to check in with your workforce and your talent to see where they are and what their needs are in relation to what you're offering. Then another insight, something else we've learned, which is that interest for professional growth is stronger in larger organizations. So here we can see that those organizations that we classified as large organizations, those that have more than 5,000 employees, we see that general interest for professional growth is stronger in such organizations than those that have less. Moving further, we looked into what does having a successful career mean to people? How do they define this? What this actually relates to for them? And we let them choose up to 5 aspects. And here you can see all the different aspects they were able to select from. And what I want to share with you, and something that struck me, was that having finance security and a high salary is actually less important than having a fulfilling, balanced life with opportunities to growth. So we see that the top three areas that have been rated very highly are really related to having a fulfilling, balanced life with opportunities to growth, even stronger than having a higher salary. So something also to keep in mind. Further on, we moved on to what conditions are really necessary for an employee to be able to develop professionally in an organization. So we asked, what do you feel that you need to be able to grow and develop? And I'm going to present to you here 5 most frequently answered, or the top 5 aspects necessary for growth according to employees, and then also compare that to what we're seeing currently present in the organization. So we also asked our respondents whether they see these aspects present. So the first one is really to have a good supervisor, the one that is able to support and guide the employee. So having someone that is able to navigate, help you navigate, that you can turn to and help you really create your professional development is crucial. However, we see that there's a lot of room for improvement here. Only half of the respondents say that they do have direct supervisors that are actually able to do this. The second one was being offered courses, lectures, workshops, different opportunities that typically we include in the learning offers within organizations. However, we also again see that only 58% of employees say that they are receiving and are being offered courses, lectures, and workshops. On the third spot, we have being encouraged to take new tasks, to take new roles within the organization is quite important when looking for opportunities to growth. However, we're noticing that around less than 60 of employees are being encouraged to do so in organizations. Aspect number 4 is having the opportunity to receive feedback. So regular feedback that we all need to improve and to grow and to understand whether we're doing things in the way that are expected, are we meeting the expectations or not. And we see again that less than 60 respondents reply that they are receiving regular feedback within their organization. And finally, having a culture and structure that supports talent mobility and job transitions is something that is also considered to be a top priority needed for growth, because as a person you want to understand where can you move within your organization and how do you further progress. And it was quite interesting to see that 29% of employees say their culture supports internal talent mobility and job transitions. So I think a lot of opportunities for consideration and exploration within organizations when it comes to how they want to promote and further drive employee growth. Let's move to the second part of our research, which is the art of attracting talent. So what we've learned is that 70% of organizations that were included in the survey state that they are facing difficulty when they're trying to attract and find the right talent to fill in their current needs. Only 25% said that they rarely or never struggle to find the talent. And then we did a bit of a comparison. We looked into a survey that was done by Manpower in 2023, so last year in Sweden, and we see that this number is still pretty consistent with what they found, where they actually found that 77% of organizations stated that they are having issues finding the right talent. So we see the number stays quite high also in our survey. Moving further, we looked into what are the primary strategies that organizations use in order to secure the talent needs that they have within the organization. And what we've learned is that it's primarily targeting internal activities such as upskilling, such as offering flexibility, and also job rotation within the organization. Those are the most common strategies to secure that organizations are navigating this complex needs that they have to secure talent. We only see that on the place number 4, they're looking externally, where they're partnering up with different universities to be able to look for the external sourcing for the talent needed. One interesting part and finding was that we see that, especially in large organizations, there's a big focus on upskilling, where actually those that are from larger organizations, 44% is the actual percentage where their strategies are primarily focused on upskilling the internal employees. We also looked into the top 5 reasons for leaving a workplace, and we found out that low salary or lack of benefits is still number 1 reason for leaving a workplace, followed by poor or inadequate leadership. Personal reasons, of course, there as well, and high workload and lack of recognition or appreciation on places 4 and 5. Further on, we explored if employees and those surveyed are noticing that there are significant changes or aspects that are becoming more important when considering an employer attractive in the last 10 years. And what we learned is that work-life balance and flexible working hours have become key aspects to consider an employer attractive. One interesting insight that I want to share is that the younger generation values remote work less. I personally have to say that I was a little bit surprised and had expected that younger generations will want to be more flexible when it comes to working from home, not coming to the office. But there is a great study done by Rasmus and Annalise that were also our partner in conducting this survey, where they actually, since 2015, do annual research of the needs of the young talent market, so the youth entering the workforce, where they've learned that youth actually, or younger generations, they actually prefer going to the office and having interactions with other colleagues. Assumptions are that this is to build confidence in learning their craft, knowing that they're on a good path, ability to receive feedback on the spot, and I think also a genuine need to connect with other people. I would say that flexibility and maybe remote work are primarily or more appreciated by those who are in different family situations, maybe have children and need to juggle different activities at the same time. Just assumptions, but I think it was quite an interesting insight. Moving on, we also asked we asked respondents to describe their employer brand in relation to their competitors. And what we've learned is that having a strong employer brand is correlated with a stronger learning culture. So here you can see the distribution of our respondents in terms of those who consider that they have a stronger employer brand than the competitors, and those who neither agree or disagree, and there were only a few that actually thought that they have a weaker employer brand. But it's interesting, this correlation, that those who said that they have a stronger employer brand than the competitor, also 77% of those state that employees in their organization generally have a lot of opportunities for growth and develop. And those who rank themselves as weaker employer branding than their competitors said that 32% state that their employees in the organization actually have opportunities for personal development. So I think this is something to also look into and consider that stronger learning culture actually is correlated with being a more attractive brand on the market. And finally, we're moving into segment number 3, which is the art of creating a learning culture. Here we started by asking whether your organization offers opportunities to move between different positions and roles within the organization. And here we've learned quite interesting insights. So 44% of the respondents say that they work in an organization that offers talent mobility, so they offer internal job opportunities, I would say, and encourage that strongly. However, when we looked onto the answers, we've noticed that there is a discrepancy between the answers we received from those working within HR and those that are in managerial positions versus those who are not in those roles. So we think that there is a big opportunity for more communication and promotion within organizations that do offer and encourage internal mobility. It seems like it's not quite clear, or there is not enough communication done to the employees. So something really to take in with you. And an interesting fact that 10% said that they don't know. So a lot of opportunities to tap into how do employees actually perceive internal mobility, and in what ways is this being communicated and presented to them. Further, we asked which of the following activities and measures related to learning and knowledge transfer are implemented in their organizations. And top 3 most common activities for learning are actually training for leaders in psychological safety and inclusive leadership. Second one, digitized training initiatives. And the third one, mentorship programs. Here you can see a bit more detail, but learning activities are more common among organizations with a stronger employer brand, and I think that's something that correlates also, that stronger learning culture is also strongly related to being a more attractive employer. We also asked our respondents what do they rely on for professional development and skills acquisition, and they had an opportunity to select different answers. And top most 3 activities for learning were colleagues and peers, independent research, and by independent research, primarily it's meant using different tools such as Google or other browsers to look for answers. And finally, in the 3rd place, we saw that it was the organization's learning platform. So here you can see that informal ways of learning are the most common ways of learning still. So I think it's also up to organizations to decide how do they foster and how do they encourage this learning to take place, especially in international organizations that maybe doesn't offer a place and space for everyone to sit near each other and can transfer knowledge easier. One interesting fact that the online learning platform were very highly utilized in Finland in comparison to the other Nordic countries. I just wanted to share that interesting insight. So there are a few things I want you to leave with. First one is that really providing more professional development and opportunity really boosts employee engagement. And we see that organizations are struggling to align skills with their needs. Upskilling and job rotation are critical strategies for many organizations, but poor compensation and ineffective leadership are the most common reasons why people leave their jobs. Work-life balance and flexibility are essential for attraction and retention, supported by strong organizational learning culture. And finally, lack of awareness about internal mobility highlights the need for better communication of career growth opportunities within the company, especially in the time when talent is scarce. Should you want to receive the full report and read it in more detail, as I said, it's currently being created, so we're going to have it published in the coming few weeks. You can scan the QR code, and we're going to make sure that it's sent to your email addresses. You can also come to talk to us and my other colleagues in our booth in the exhibition area. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nikolina, for this.